So, yep, that brings us to the end of the first match of the night. So, our next match is going to be Canadian Bacon versus KrazyCaley from our Diamond division. So, what do you think of this matchup while I kind of set things up? Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh man, this is going to be amazing. Okay, first off, literally any match in Diamond is going to be amazing. But Crazy Caley, and Canadian Bacon, it's hard to find two snipers that play this game more differently than these two. KrazyCaley is the quintessential capping sniper. He will guard every hardtail mission at the same time all the time and basically say you will never get a hardtail bud. He has been doing this for the past 3 seasons of the SpyParty Competitive League, and he has won all 3 of those seasons with this technique. When Kaylee's on his game, he is terrifying. Canadian Bacon, on the other hand, probably knows more about how the AI behave than probably any other sniper in the world. Canadian Bacon, he
You seem so
find
speechless.
lowlights. Canadian Bacon can find lowlights, for things that I didn't even know exist.
Yeah, and it can look like arcane magic on our side sometimes when you're not sure what he's lowlighting for. It's a weird mix of etiquette, behavioralism, and just crazy arcane game knowledge that makes him not just scary, but scary in a confusing way. It's one thing to lose to someone like Caley where you figure, well, he camped this mission and I did it and he caught it, good for him. Sometimes you lose to Bacon and you have no idea why, and that is way scarier sometimes.
Oh, don't I know it?
Another cool thing to note, Canadian Bacon is Kaylee's pick to win this season.
Yeah, yes, and a few other people's too, for that matter. I think a lot of people are assuming that with the new art in particular, that his strengths are gonna rise and manifest themselves a lot stronger. Hard to say, but nothing would surprise you in Diamond at this point because this is the creme de la creme.
Well,
either way, this is going to be amazing. Let's get into the picks and bans.
All right, so we start off. KrazyCaley goes ahead, and what does he ban? He bans Modern any 5 of 8. Bacon for his ban bans Veranda any 5 of 8. So the 2 biggest maps in the game out of the pool. What do you think about this?
I think it's, well, first of all, Veranda speaks for itself. That plays into Kaylee's style. You're going to have to do a hardtail, maybe 2. Certainly nothing surprising there. Caley banning Modern, that might be a little more surprising to some people. It's certainly not to me. I kind of expected he was going to do this. It seems like it would be like Veranda because it's large, because you're going to do some hardtails, but it's just too big and it's too new. If you're Caley, you mentioned he's won all 3 seasons, right? What you want to do then is you want to avoid variables, you want to avoid disruptions. Modern is new, and it has a lot of weird pathing idiosyncrasies which play right into Bacon's hands, so I'm not at all surprised that he banned Modern. If you're Caley, you want to keep doing what you've been doing, which means no new maps, and no maps with a lot of pathing idiosyncrasies that someone like Bacon can take advantage of.
So I heard Kaylee talking about this earlier, and he just confirmed it in the chat for us. I think Kaylee actually likes Modern well enough, but he's afraid of Bacon on it because he thinks that Bacon will probably know a whole bunch of stuff about this map that Kaylee will not.
Exactly right. There's a lot of weird pathways there, in particular around that couch, around the door, and you just don't want to mess with it if you're Caley, especially against Bacon. I don't think it's something he's going to be banning all season exactly, but against Bacon, I think probably, yeah.
All right, and let's take a look at the picks. So to start it off, KrazyCaley picks the classic, the one, the only, the Courtyard, any 4 of 7. Bacon goes ahead and picks probably the most controversial map in the game, Balcony, any 2 of 3. So those are the 2 doubled maps for this match. KrazyCaley follows up the pick with his classic Library, any 5 of 8. And to round things out, Canadian Bacon picks Ballroom, any 4 of 8. Anything you want to say before we jump into the match?
This all makes perfect sense to me. You've got KrazyCaley picking the map he is most comfortable on and most likely to catch a spy on a hardtail on, Courtyard. Bacon picks a map that Kaylee hates. Kaylee picks a map that you have to do 2 hardtails on, probably. And then Bacon picks Ballroom because everyone loves Ballroom. We did it.
Yeah, no, well, check it out, though. You see there, when you look at the screen there, you see Veranda banned on the left and Library on the right. Similar maps in terms of playstyles in the sense that usually if Veranda is in one of these columns, Library is going to be in the other.
This is very true.
All right, and with that, I say we jump right into our first game, which I believe is KrazyCaley as the spy, Canadian Bacon behind the rifle on Courtyard. Take it away.
That's what I have as well. All right, let's get this match underway in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, Bacon only had 9 points last season, but I think a lot of people consider that to be a bit of a fluke. He's a threat to end up in the finals any given year.
Very much so. KrazyCaley starting things off, sipping his drink, and then picking up that first flirt, as you do on the spy side. Nice close green as well for 51%. That's a good start for Caley.
Yeah, there's really not too much going on here. He just gets that first flirt in. He's going to try not to chase too much. The question is, how long do you wait and idle before doing it? And do you do anything in the meantime? Do you get your statue visit done early? Do you try to get a fingerprint, something like that? He's in a bad position right now. There really isn't anything nearby. He has to go do something, or he has to idle, and he's chosen to idle.
Look at Bacon's rotations. It looks like he's trying to bait out a bug attempt.
Yeah. Now, the double agent joins while I was saying that. That's kind of the thing you can do to make some forward progress. It's very nice that he was able to come to him, too, and it's a pretty strong banana bread overall.
Indeed, it is. So we've got 1:45 minutes left to play. We've got the halfway done the flirt. We've got the contact done. We are going to have to go to statues at some point.
You'd think so, but there's only 90 seconds left. He's got still only has half that flirt done.
Oh, hello, Ambassador.
Wow, tries to plant the bug, and I don't think the attempt was visible, but it does not take.
I actually quite like the attempt because of the way those arms swing anyways, and that little rotational twitch made it difficult to tell what was going on. So
yeah, not particularly visible on the sniper side.
It was a bit harder to tell what was going on than it might have looked like. He does get his last flirt that he needs, a second close green in conversation afterwards, so...
Yeah, obviously, that was a very risky bug. He was done right in front of the sniper, and there was no cover whatsoever, but you're absolutely right, it was not visible, particularly on the sniper side. You inspect swap for the win here, maybe?
KrazyCaley does have his memes about inspect swaps. He is a large character, so it's easy to hide. There it is.
And it's a green, so Bacon's going to have time to see he was at statue, see him leave, and try to track it afterwards. But if there's a lot of movement late at the party, if, say, there's people at each side of the statues, if the ambassador's in a vulnerable position, if there's a couple of drink takes, there we go. What I just say, someone at the other opposite end of statues when the swap is about to go off, and a highlight picks up the swap, too. This is the kind of situation where you can get away with a swap.
Yeah, as far as... Look, even the shot comes off. That couldn't have lined up any better for Caley at the end.
No. So obviously, just a very straightforward decision on Caley's part. But one of the things there is maybe the sniper will get confused. That's not going to normally happen in Diamond, but it can. But more likely, there might just be a late rush of activity. People at both sets of statues simultaneously. And by the way, Caley goes to the other statues to aid there, so that 3 of the 4 statues are occupied late. Maybe the ambassador's vulnerable. Maybe a couple people are taking drinks or something like that. If that happens around the same time a green swap goes off late at Courtyard, that can be enough.
Indeed. Either way, let's get to the next one. We've got a pair of twins on the field, and Bacon is one of them, as KrazyCaley steps behind the rifle. Let's get this thing underway in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, that's the kind of game there, if you're Bacon. It's very unfortunate because I guess you could technically play it better, but there really wasn't any overt mistake there. If there's just a lot going on late, you have to rotate back and forth, and sometimes the timing doesn't line up. Obviously, you can't know which side is going to be the side where the swap is happening or where the place where the hardtail is taking place. So I don't really think Bacon made an error there, but lost anyway because things lined up perfectly.
Indeed. That was a very fast reject. Wow.
Yeah, against someone like Caley, though, you really don't have to worry about that too much. That's not what he's here for.
I think that was a perfect contact. I think literally everybody was in conversation when that contact happened. There was a low light that happened, but I think she left after the fact from the opposite conversation.
You might be right. Whether it was perfect or not, it was definitely a very good one. And if you're Caley, you got to be a little frustrated that you didn't get to narrow down the suspect pool a little bit more.
Indeed, that's a big play coming out from Bacon, but that's the first flirt he's got, 34%, with 1:45 left to play, and other than the contact, that's the only progress we have so far. So
normally a 34% flirt to start the game is no big deal, but when it comes with 100 seconds left on the clock and only one mission done, not hitting that green actually pretty bad. He's going to try to make up for it right here, though.
And now he hits the green for the second one. 1:20 left on the clock. He still needs to go to statues, still needs to find a hardtail.
Well, or do a hardtail and induce a shot. He's in almost the exact same position that Caley was. He's finished his seduce and his double agent. He's got a little over a minute left, and he has to make the same kind of choice.
This is true.
This is the dilemma of Courtyard right here. You get these two missions done. You have between 1 and 2 minutes left. What do you do?
Slim character, so Inspect Swap is not as viable as it was for Caley.
Maybe, but in the last game, when swap works on this map, it usually works for reasons unrelated to character size, unlike Library, where the body block is way more prevalent.
That's true. Bacon stepping into statues now. He's burnt a lot of time, does find a fingerprint off of it, so if he can get lucky with the ambassador picking up a drink or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, you might want to reconsider any swap you were thinking about doing. Nope, does the same thing anyway.
There's that green swap. It's the exact same thing Caley did. He steps away.
But look at this. Look at the situation. The Amba has a neutral light next to them and no one else. They're not vulnerable. There's, a reject into statues. That's helpful.
It's not a highlight. It's going to be overtime.
No. And he's looking at the statue. He sees it perfectly. Yep, all over it. So there's the difference. They do basically the same thing, but there's just way less activity late in the game. Caley can very confidently basically sit, wait for that statue to fade or pop. It pops, and he shoots.
So here are the differences. Basically, the only differences in that game are, one, Caley had activity late from the party. Bacon did not. Two, this one didn't wind up mattering, but Bacon was going to trigger overtime with that green swap. Caley had a little bit better time management, and that didn't have to happen. And that's about it.
Right. So Caley got his seduced on quicker. He too flirted, whereas Bacon had to rush to a statue pad, and it took him a little bit longer. He finished with a little over a minute left to get that second mission done. And those 20 or 30 seconds do matter for planning purposes, absolutely, because you can give it a little bit longer to see if there's a rush of activity and try to time it. But you are at the mercy of the party a little bit in these situations, absolutely.
One thing I actually really like about those two games is it illustrates a very cool fact about play at this level. Those were basically the same spy game.
They were very similar, yes, exactly, but with totally different outcomes.
One was won, one was lost, and even though the spies played it basically the same, it's these tiny little things that can make all the difference when you're at this high of a level.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And obviously there are some marginal differences, as sniper. Caley's sniper win rate in Season 3 in particular, just insanely high, 93% I think it was leading into the final. So you're not going to get too many wrong shots out of him. So yeah, the game turns on little things. It is a game. They say baseball's a game of inches. SpyParty's a game of pixels.
Oh, that's so well put. And I think it's time to move on to our next game, back to Courtyard. KrazyCaley back in the seat of the spy as general. Switch the thing. Go ahead, count us in.
3, 2, 1, playing it. Relatively slow start.
Well, you can see why. The seduction target is at windows. He wants to see where she goes, does not want to chase her there. Wants to get that first flirt in confidently, knowing she's not going to leave. Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. Actually has to bail out of the conversation. That is rough, but...
No, that's not good. And as soon as she entered, I remember thinking to myself, oh boy, I don't know if you want to even try this here.
Yeah.
A new art in particular, this seems to happen a little more often. It's a little harder to judge whether or not you're going to be able to fit in on some of these small conversation circles.
Does eventually get in for that 51% flirt. Also in conversation with Double Agent. Also White Purloin. Kaylee, what?
No, that's probably going to do it. He's going to BB to cover for it.
But look at this. He was on the other side from where Toby was.
Yep.
There was the contact goes off to try to distract, and suddenly this is working out just fine.
Well, there's a couple things to consider. First thing is, how confidently can he narrow down the party? That's big. If you can narrow down to a few people, you're probably still going to win. But when you don't low light that much, there were some obvious low lights that he didn't seem to take. When that happens, sometimes that's because the sniper is almost positive who it is. There's no point in highlighting or low lighting. They know who they're going to watch. That could still be the case. Can't tell from the sniper camera movement alone.
There's the second seduce coming off, and this is the moment. If Kaylee dies here, Bacon is on it. If not, he wins straight up.
Hasn't even seen him there yet, though.
This means that Kaylee's won. He's not even looking at him.
And that's it. That was it.
Game.
Clearly just not confident of where the purloin came from. This is the difference right here. So he didn't actually catch the purloin too late after it took place. But the difference there sometimes, if you catch it just a little bit afterwards, you can maybe be relatively confident that it just happened. And if it just happened, you can narrow it down quite a bit. But if you're not sure, if you think it could have been, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 seconds instead of 1 or 2, that totally changes who you can confidently rule out. From basically half the party to maybe no one, if there's been movement. So in this case, those few seconds, or at least thinking it might have been more than a few seconds since the purloin went off, is basically the difference between a win and a loss.
Okay. Something I would like to point out. KrazyCaley, I believe is... I'm not saying his spy is bad, but I believe he has the worst spy game in Dynasty.
Well, not now that I'm there, buddy. But
In the end of red.
but let's say last season he certainly there's nothing exceptional about it at the higher levels. I think there are better spies than gold and platinum sometimes, but he's a good spy and a great sniper, and that's enough.
Interesting thing to note, one, Caley has won his first 2 spy games, but looking at Bacon's sniper games, he got 3 non-cast lowlights in game 1, and 2 non-cast lowlights in game 2. This is not like the Bacon we're used to seeing.
No, and that's probably one of the reasons Caley picked Courtyard, not just because it's the kind of most straightforward map, and as I mentioned earlier, sort of a confidence pick, comfort pick. With the new Courtyard as opposed to the old art, there was sort of a pathing thing called the Courtyard bump that you could pretty reliably get some lowlights off of. With the new Courtyard, I'm not going to say it, it doesn't nerf Bacon's style, certainly, because Bacon has a lot of different styles, but his real strength as a sniper is definitely lessened somewhat on Courtyard. It's a safer map for someone like Caley, who doesn't pay quite as much attention to that stuff. Not that anyone pays as much attention to it as Bacon does.
Either way, let's get on into the next game here. We've got last game on Courtyard, Bacon's chance to finally get on the board on the spy side, which is not where you want to be. KrazyCaley looking to sweep the first map of the evening in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Bacon eyeing up this conversation with the seduction target in, does get there, looking to pick up his first flirt. And doesn't hit the green test this time. There've been a lot of early green flirts, but this one's just white for 34.
It's actually been a pretty pronounced difference so far in green flirts for Caley versus Bacon. I don't know if it means a lot. I know for a fact that Bacon played this set shortly after waking up, so I would take everything that happens with a bit of grain of salt there.
Oh, it's Sleepy Bacon. Okay, then.
Wakey bakey, yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if that manifested itself a little bit in some of these ATs.
Picks up a fingerprint early on. That was a weird little bit of briefcasiness, although I'm unsure if Caley is as confident in briefcase as he is in other things, or even if he looks for bad briefcases or things like that.
Well, don't even bother to look for bad briefcases with Bacon. Bacon knows the minutia. Even if he were going to do a bad briefcase, it's so unlikely and rare, it's barely worth paying attention to. Only thing you want to look out for is whether or not there's a bug at the end, and obviously you want to note that fingerprint. Bacon has that now, and if he can finish the seduce, he could be in a decent position here to finish without a hardtail.
Bacon picks up his second flirt, a nice close green for 85%. Contact comes off as well, one low light, and that's it.
That's
so a
it.
Very good contact.
That's two great contact double agent missions from Bacon here on Courtyard.
Mainly what I was talking about with the briefcase is I'm very well aware that Bacon knows the briefcase minutia infinitely better than I do, but for someone who maybe doesn't know it as well, it looked weird.
Yeah, at some point you might be a victim of your own expertise where you understand the idiosyncrasies of briefcase so well that sometimes the right thing looks weird to other people. He's going to go for two briefcases for the fingerprint. Very often you'll get one briefcase and you'll try to do something else like a statue or a book or a drink because those are a little less obvious and harder to track. But no, he's going to go two briefcases here. Interesting.
If Bacon had the time, I would have loved to have seen him take a third briefcase. But instead, he's stepping into the statues, it gets his highlight, but because he's been highlight, I think he just wins. Because he's inspecting now, and this is the last mission he needs. No! No, Caley decides to take the shot!
Wow.
I think.
Yeah, he's tracking the fingerprint.
The briefcases.
Yeah, it has to be. So I did mention finishing the game without a hardtail. Certainly, that's generally preferable against Caley, but he's still tracking fingerprint. And in this case, the fingerprints were not trying to be secretive. They weren't hard fingerprints. They weren't difficult fingerprints after it had already been picked up once. They weren't drinks. They weren't statues. So two briefcase fingerprints, if at that point, especially if the party isn't too active otherwise, he's going to know that person could be done.
I'm taking a look actually at the banana bread moment. Every single party goer except for Rocker is in conversation circle. That is an incredible banana bread. Like I have this nice aerial view. Free camera's the best. But man, that was a beautiful banana bread.
Yep, and Caley he got the one low light. He got it correctly. But again, Bacon making the most of those. It just hasn't resulted in a win though.
Yeah, I feel like if Bacon was able to get that second fingerprint off of a statue with a bit of time delay or a drink, maybe he wins that game. But
so Caley's definitely tracking fingerprint. There's no doubt about
that.
Oh
yeah, 100%.
So
for Caley, because he's so good at camping hardtails, he knows that people are going to try to fingerprint against him because it's their way of not getting by a hardtail. But it's also very trackable, so Caley tracks it. It's basically, Caley treats fingerprint as if it's a hardtail.
Right.
Yeah, which you can usually get away with occasionally.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is, how do you fight that, right? If you're trying to fight against Caley's sniper, a couple things. One is that you really just have to hope that at some point the AI is going to possibly have been done and force a shot. Much that we talked earlier about how Elvis kind of felt like he had to shoot because the AIs could have been done. That doesn't happen as often with a 4-mission setup as it does with 3, but it can absolutely happen. So sometimes he's going to say, well, that person could be done, and I'm going to shoot them, and if it's not the spy, oh well, bad luck. It's just not going to happen that much. The only other thing you can really do is deliberately try to hit a difficult fingerprint. Obviously, you're more likely to get away with a drink or a statue fingerprint, but he's still going to track them as best he can. Let's say less likely to track them than a briefcase, which is almost automatic. But at that point, I think you need to veer into difficult fingerprints. You need to hit your ATs, and as we mentioned earlier, for whatever reason, Bacon has not been hitting many of them.
Yep.
That's a very good point. Hitting difficult fingerprints is definitely one of the ways to get that by Caley.
Yeah, I mean, he might still note it, and as I mentioned earlier, too, that sometimes you credit that second fingerprint. If someone just feels busy, they feel spy-like, they're going to statues at the right time, you know they have one fingerprint, but you're not sure if they have a second, the shot might still come off, but it's not going to be as confident as this one probably was.
Interestingly enough, Caley in chat is confirming for us that the thing that really tipped him off onto Bacon was that weird-looking briefcase.
Well, that's a very good catch then. That's unusual for Bacon. That's very unusual. It's not something you're normally going to count on.
Yep. And with that, I think it's time to switch maps, where we go from the, I'd say, kind of standard, the DE dust, as people like to say, of SpyParty to the most controversial map, Balcony. So whereas Caley can do very well on Courtyard, he is not the biggest fan of Balcony, I would say.
All right, Bacon, it's comeback time. Let's see what you got on the sniper side of things. KrazyCaley starting things out as Smallman on the Spy. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, he's in a hole, but this is the kind of map where someone, again, even against another very, very good player, could reel off 4 quick wins.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Okay, well.
Emphasis on quick.
One.
Yeah. Quick, I don't know if you could hear it earlier, but when I said quick, that was underlined and bolded and italicized. Now, so he's using Smallman there, and Smallman has a very powerful bug here on Balcony, or just in general, but normally you're doing it in the back of the conversation. It's obviously suspicious just being back there as that character. You don't see it as often from this angle, but if you're Caley, you're up 4-0, it's Balcony anyway, you're just saying, you know, YOLO.
Yep.
Give it a try.
Gotta keep people honest. Another interesting thing to note, Bacon knew that was a big risk and rotated around to get an angle on that as soon as the amber landed in conversation.
Right, and by the way, that's a very interesting choice for Sniper because sometimes the act of rotating actually makes the bug a little harder to see as opposed to a stationary view where it's more obvious. Loving the camera work, by the way, Hummus. That's some seriously great cinematography going on here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're a regular Deacons over here.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Alfonso Cuarón. All right, that's fine.
No, I'm a Deacons man for sure. So actually rotating around is its own sort of risk sometimes. If they happen to do it at the right point in the rotation, for example, it can actually be a little harder to see, but in this case he does catch it.
All right. Well, Bacon's on the Spy now. He's on the board, and he's on the Spy. Caley on the Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, 4-1 Caley right now.
The scoreboard says 5-0. It is in fact 4-1.
Yep, fix that. My bad.
You didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Caley does not need the help, my friend.
Bacon picking up his first flirt, up to 34% on a relatively close white. Does get highlights for the talk, though.
Yeah, early talk. Getting used to saying that, too, aren't you, by the way? Early white flirt for Bacon.
Yeah.
It's happening a lot, and it didn't matter as much as some of those other maps. Matters a lot on Balcony.
Green BB, though. Sorry, Green Contact. I need to stop saying BB. Green Contact, which is very helpful on this map.
Yeah, you'll take it. You'll certainly take it more over the green flirt, but both would have been nice.
Yeah, nice thing about Contact on this map is if you're patient, you can almost always get literally everybody inside the conversation. The big test is whether or not you can hit that green test.
By the way, notice that Bacon flirted right there. His cooldown timer had been done for a few seconds, but then his seduction target, Hare, goes to take a drink, and sometimes taking a drink is used as sort of a prompt for the AI to leave the conversation as soon as they have. So he sees that turn, and he gets the flirt in. I would have done exactly the same thing. Good move.
Second flirt, another white test, up to 68%, which is not great because now we have to get snuggly again, which means going into the same spot because the other side's taken by wheels.
And there it is.
Oh, never mind! Bullets have happened! Bacon is 1-2 in a row.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Caley had actually gotten some very strong lowlights that game. He was pretty confident from the activity that had to be one of them. Everyone, almost the entire party was either low lit or high lit at that point, I think. What happens is there's less than 30 seconds left. Look what's happening. Curly hair there is talking, and the spy, Bacon, is at windows. If the roles were reversed, I think the other player gets shot.
I agree. I agree. Bacon
right.
is now... the comeback is occurring. This is some good stuff. Caley won the first 4. Bacon answers with 2. Let's see what happens next as KrazyCaley steps into the spy side of balcony. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. And by the way, yes, you have to remove missions on balcony, but basically everyone plays seduce, contact, bug all of the time, 100% of the time.
It's close, but the one person who makes an exception semi-regularly is actually the spy right here, KrazyCaley. He likes to leave fingerprint on sometimes, and will deliberately get one fingerprint and leave the sniper looking for the second fingerprint that never comes. Especially because sometimes the AI will, in fact, complete fingerprint on this.
Caley does get an early flirt for a green test on 51%.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off next. Smallman again, interestingly enough. This time did not bug in front of the laser.
Well, lesson learned.
Indeed. I say bug in front of the laser as if it was intentional, but I think it was a laser lag issue, to be honest.
Yeah, as if everything in balcony wasn't in front of the laser.
Exactly.
You see, Bacon's already got it a little narrowed down here, and he's done it correctly. He's in a pretty good position. But that green flirt, there it is.
It's the green.
It's a double green, and that's going to be a hard shot for Bacon to take.
That dude.
Nope, there it is. That's going to do it.
3 green balcony. It is the single hardest shot to take in the entire game.
There is only one player in all of SpyParty who semi-routinely shoots me for 3 green games. We will not speak his name, but for almost anyone else...
Is it me?
It is not you, I'm afraid.
I was hoping. I was hoping to shoot you for the 3 green dream.
I'll say his name backwards. It's drawn onward when you say it backwards. But against pretty much anyone else, that's almost a guaranteed win. Literally only one other player has ever done it to me, and that was Turnout Date, and I was first mad and then just too impressed to be mad. Against almost anyone else, it's going to be a win. And how often have we been talking about these green versus white tests? So often. Yeah. Bacon's got stuck with these white flirts, and Caley has hit a lot of green flirts, and on balcony, it's huge. I don't want to say 8 action tests are the difference in this match right now, but they're definitely a significant part of it.
All right. Caley on the board and balcony. Bacon trying to keep the lead to 2 as he steps behind the rifle. No, sorry, steps into the spy shoes. Caley behind the rifle.
That would be in front of the rifle, Toby.
Yes. Bacon in front of the rifle. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
The question is, will there be someone, an AI maybe, between him and the rifle? That's the real question.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, that's what Bacon's hoping for, probably.
Early drink take, not an early talk. This is an unusual start for a spy on balcony, which means Bacon's not currently suspicious.
Oh, but the seduction
target is unkind, which means we're now suspicious.
And another white test.
It does come off, though. It was close, but it did come off.
Yeah, but a window flirt on balcony is pretty risky. You could see Bacon, he was waiting for his ST to enter the conversation, and it just didn't happen, and he thought, I've had enough of this, I gotta get this first flirt in. Can't wait a full minute to get that first flirt in on balcony, unless somebody else is gonna be busy and get shot for you.
There was no good spot to enter that conversation, so we had to sidle up next to the ambassador and hope she left before the seduction target decided to join
Ooh, but look at this, a little bit of luck here.
It happened.
Banana bread.
Yeah, that was basically a 50-50 shot, a little bit better than a 50-50 shot of ST coming into a friendly spot, and it worked out for him. Second flirt, we are now at 85%. Contact has come off as well on the green test.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone was talking, so Caley knows it was a green, so what does he do? He highlights people who talk shortly after the BB, assuming it's a flirt, and one of them, correctly, is Bacon.
Bacon steps out of conversation. I think that alone might make him top suspect here. Keep in mind, on this map, the sniper does not know who the double agent is.
Yeah, no, this is going to be rough because he's going to have to talk with 20 seconds left. Now, he's across from his ST, but I don't think Caley knows who the ST is. He's just going to see the talk, and that could easily be enough.
It's a different spot in conversation, which will be to his...
There it is. Yeah,
which will
doesn't
help
matter.
him a little bit, but 3 talks, it's not enough. Caley's able to take the shot, bringing him up. Splitting balcony. He's now up 6-2.
Now, you remember in that Canadian Bacon balcony win, I mentioned that Bacon was at windows and the other prime suspect was talking in the conversation. I said if the roles were reversed, the shot would have been 2. And look what happens here. There are 2 highlights. The other highlight is at windows, just like Bacon was the first game. This time, Bacon's the one in the conversation talking with fewer than 30 seconds left. And exactly as we discussed, Bacon is the one who gets the bullet this time.
Yeah.
That is the difference. If the twin character there stays in conversation and talks with 25 seconds left, probably another Bacon win in a much closer match.
I think you're right, but getting the party to be kind to you is not a thing that happens very easily in this game at all.
And that's rough for Bacon because he fell behind 4-0. He won those first 2 games, and it wouldn't have taken a lot to get a couple more here. You got to imagine he was for 3 to get back in this, but a split plays into Caley's hands after that hole that he put Bacon in there in the beginning, and now he's 1 win away.
And now we're going to, I believe the next map is Caley's pick, which is the library.
Yeah, library. Nice large map. 5 of 8. This is a great spot for Caley on sniper.
I love to hear young people so excited about reading. That's fantastic.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the last game, this is a map where the spy can get away with a lot of shenanigans because they know exactly where the sniper is looking at any given time, and they can only see a third of the map at any given moment. So Caley stepping into the spy side certainly has a reasonable chance to close the match out here and now, but once he hits the sniper side, it's going to be a tall task for Bacon.
And here we go. Tobo, why don't you count us in?
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
You could say Bacon's on the hot seat. He needs to win 4, and that's just playing for a tie.
Indeed. And, like, KrazyCaley is not a man who you want to give a lead to because of how dangerous his sniper game is. Oh, a flirt and leave! Gets highlight for it as well! I love that play from Caley, but Bacon's on it!
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that Bacon will get you for. Against some snipers, perfectly safe. Against a guy like Bacon, potentially deadly.
Yeah, indeed. Very much a bug path, but no right click.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Caley and you think you were on screen for that, you know you're in big trouble, and you really just have to hope the party hands you something. Otherwise, you're just counting time.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard. I think Caley knows that he's been caught because of the he saw himself get highlight. Tries to do a fake BB, fake contact to cover for himself, but he's in conversation with the suspected double agent, unfortunately.
There were only 3 other people, and he's on library, and it manages to look like a real banana bread. That's unfortunate.
That's rough. That is rough.
I think at this point, though, it's just going to be either a timeout or Bacon's going to see him do something and shoot.
Yep. Good God, how do we win this as Caley? This
You
is
probably
so
don't.
hard.
Yeah, you probably... an AI has to do a lot.
Fingerprint is a good start.
How do you win this as Caley? You invent the flux capacitor, and you go back and you don't do that.
Yeah.
You hit your head on a sink, you wake up, that's how you win this game.
Usually I really like that idea of I'm going to flirt and then walk away. It's like almost like a walking flirt, but what did Bacon just do? His sniper laser just spazzed out for a second. That was hilarious.
I don't know. I will say that a lot of snipers will sort of shake their camera back and forth almost to indicate, even for casters or people watching the replays, that they are suspicious of something that they don't want to necessarily mark with highlights or lowlights even.
Was that the Amba though?
Yeah, I don't really know. He might have been messing with us, or he might have just tripped? I don't know.
Well, we got the flirt done, so that's our mission with 1:20 left to play. This is a situation, and it's not a good
There's
one.
a twitch. There's a little twitch there, I think. Gonna try to bug.
Yeah,
Totally
well,
off screen. Sniper looking elsewhere.
Did try to bug, didn't wind up happening. Amber went to the other side of the conversation instead of taking the...
Look, it's probably just a matter of time.
wanted.
Kaylee's going to do things that can't get him shot, like seduce and maybe fingerprint, maybe inspects, but probably not.
Okay, green purloin,
and then
this
some.
could
Yep.
be good, but no, sees the fade.
And then
shot
something like
comes
this.
off.
At some point, he's going to have to do a quote-unquote real mission, and Bacon's just going to shoot him for it. He was just dead man walking.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, Bacon pretty much had Kaylee's number from the very start of that game. Let's step into the next one, and, like, Bacon has to get 2 spy games past Kaylee. That is a tall task.
Yep. Yeah. This is not the position you want to be in, too. You're even playing it on Kaylee's own pick. It's not a good position to be in. It's not unheard of. 3 wins is not that tough, but you really got to win this one first.
Yeah, this is where it all starts. Let's see if you can pull it off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, very often, if you think you're a big suspect in a game like that first library game, you at least have a chance to lay low and try to frame somebody else. But in this case, it seemed so definitive that there was really just nothing to do. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah. 51% on the early flirt. Good, solid, textbook start from... Wow, look at this. All the suspected double agents were in one corner of the map for a second there. All looking out that same window.
Must have been something really interesting. When we say window, this is one of the few maps where it's not really a window. That is not a good contact.
Contact comes off.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, teleport!
Not visible to sniper sight? No, it wasn't. What was that, 6 lowlights? And I think maybe all of them were perfectly accurate.
Yeah, it was a lot. That's a rough start for Bacon.
You can afford to give up a lot on library because it's a big map with a lot of guests, but you can't give up that many.
6? That's brutal.
And in total contrast to the 2 banana breads, the 2 contact double agents we saw earlier from Bacon, that one might have been perfect on Courtyard and the other that was one person short of being perfect. Total opposite here. And I'm not really sure it didn't seem to have been covering for anything either.
Second flirt is white. So instead of the 2 flirt, is just up to 85%. Any flirt at this point will finish it up. Because the worst possible flirt you can get in this game is 17%.
If you were any farther away, you wouldn't be on a pad next to them.
Yes, that fact.
Yeah, you're at the point where all you got to do is wink at them from across the room, and the deed is done.
Gets highlight for center statues. That's not huge suspicion. That's like a routine statue highlight for Kaylee. So highlight there doesn't mean a whole lot. Bacon is still very much in this game. Although this is going to make future hardtails more difficult.
Right, so between the lowlights and that highlight, which is a center statue highlight, and he's going to remember that inspects could be done, as opposed to someone like the Duke character you see is picking up a side statue. He's going to know he couldn't be done with inspects unless he goes again. Bacon, probably top suspect. Probably not a huge suspect, but look around. There's just no one else.
Bacon, Kaylee was quite clearly trying to bait out a bug there. It didn't wind up happening. Instead, Bacon does the other right click and finishes up his seduce. 1:20 left on the clock, 2 missions to go. What's the play here? Probably a bug.
Now here's what's rough. You see that? You see a salmon jacket there on the far left? He goes and picks up a statue. It's a left statue. If it were the center statue, Kaylee could be looking at a situation where he's worried about an inspect swap.
There was a chance for a second there. Didn't wind up taking it.
He needs a little help from the party. A salmon jacket did not look like he could have inspected or swapped there. Doesn't force Kaylee into a difficult shot. Bacon's probably going to try to fake the swap now. No, he's going to green it instead.
It's
oh my
a green
goodness.
Swap. I think he needed this. This is one of the only ways this works out for him.
Oh, I don't know about that briefcase.
Difficult
That's awfully close to the ambassador.
I don't think it was too close. Doesn't hit the...
Ooh. I don't know. I think on library, it's different depending on the map. The swap has just gone off, but it's not visible. A low light standing in front of it, and Tex with that big cowboy hat is helping to block it too.
Now
just sees it now. He sees it now.
He knows. Caley knows. Gets the shot and gets the set 7-3.
That's pretty rough. He might have had a little more luck with a white, but I don't think so. I think the low lights just allowed him to focus on who was left. What he really needed was someone like that salmon jacket character to go to center statues and hang around a while and maybe force a shot for a possible late white swap. Just did not happen. The banana bread getting 6, maybe low light, 6, maybe 7, I think perhaps. That was the game essentially.
Yeah, that early contact really killed Bacon there.
Now, very often you can do a quote-unquote bad contact the double agent on something like library, and it might not hurt you too much because depending on the sniper's quickness and tolerance for ambiguous lowlights, they might only get, say, 3 or 4, 4 or 5. They might not get all 6, they might not get all 7. But when they do, when they have that chance to get that many and they get virtually all of them, that's devastating.
Yeah. Yeah, it was rough.
Yep, but that takes us to the end. KrazyCaley starting the season off with a win, 7-3 over Bacon. And that's the end of this match. We have one more match, so why don't you all talk amongst yourselves while I get that set.
Yeah, I think you're taking over for me for this match as well.
Oh, am I taking over for you? Okay, we'll talk for like 5 seconds while I type.
That's fine.
All right,
to make something good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Warning Track, my casting partner for the first couple of sets here. He is a wonderful gentleman who is very good at casting this game and very good at playing this game. You can find his stuff at twitch.tv/SpyPartyFans, at Twitter, at SpyPartyFans, at the SpyParty Fans website. He hosts the SCL manager. It's great stuff coming out of this man.
Well, I really appreciate that. Although I'm going to give Hummus say most of the credit for the SCL manager, having written it and all. But happy to be involved.
We'll plug Hummus later. It's okay.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, and unfortunately, this is my first time in Diamond, and oh my god, even just casting these matches, it is horrifying. If you're in Platinum this season, try really hard not to advance, because there's nothing fun going on up here, trust me, it's horrifying.
Alright. Well, thank you so much, Trek. I will step in and I will try and pull double duty as observer and talking person.
Thanks for having me.
I believe that is the caster. Thank you so much. Good night, Warning Trek. And sweet dreams. Alright, Toba, I guess it's just you and me now on this slight adventure towards our next match, which is bit banding